Nintendo had quite the surprising Direct event in spring 2024, filled with several big game announcements, and we're here to talk about a few of them. Hi, I'm Eric.
And I'm David.
Welcome to the third episode of the Press Start podcast. So Nintendo had a pretty big and surprising Nintendo Direct event for basically anyone who's a fan of Nintendo games, I would say.
Yeah, it was pretty huge. In personally, in my opinion, it was pretty huge. Other people might disagree, but from what I saw on the internet, it was buzzing. It was buzzing. There were a lot of big titles that were announced. There were a lot of games that took myself by surprise. I don't know about you, Eric.
Oh, one definitely did.
One, yeah, we're gonna talk about them. That's why we are here. So, out of the two of us, I am the bigger Nintendo fan. You've said that you don't have a Switch. You've played some Nintendo games, but really aren't too familiar with. I was gonna say that franchise, but really the I guess that whole side of things.
Yeah, like I played a lot of pretty much every mainline Pokemon game except for the Switch ones. Besides helping with my nephews sometime. I kind of stopped playing Nintendo games once the Switch came out. Not that I have anything wrong with the Switch. I just never got around to buying a Switch because I already have an Xbox One, which I know now is pretty old, but back then it was pretty new. And I have a PlayStation 5, so a lot of my money is going towards other games. But I do hope to get a Switch or a Switch 2 one day. But yeah, you're definitely the Nintendo expert of the two of us.
I'll take that title on for sure. And nothing against Xbox or PlayStation. I've owned Microsoft products, but up until I'm going to say maybe 4 or 5 years ago or whenever, maybe a few years after the Switch released, I sold all my Microsoft products, went all in on Nintendo, even though I've been a Nintendo fanboy since I was 7. But we're not here to talk about that. Also, I love PlayStation, so that's... Those
we love all video games.
Yeah, we love all video games. Some are better than others. But anyway, so some of the big announcements that came out during the Direct were in no particular. Well, I'm gonna say no particular order, but then I'm gonna list them in the order that they were presented. I'm gonna edit that out.
Okay, that's fine.
I might not. Anyway, the first game that they showed in the Direct was from Mario and Luigi series, which if you followed that series, you would know that the company, that the developers that made that company, unfortunately, they're no longer around anymore. So that series was shelved after the last game, and I think it was Mario and Luigi Partners in Time. I might be mistaken.
The only game I know of that series was because it's a turn-based, more story-focused Mario and Luigi game.
Yep.
And the only game that I know of, when I bought it, a copy of it, I think it was for the Nintendo DS, and that one was Mario and Luigi Bowser's
Inside Story.
Yes, Bowser's Inside Story. That's the only one I know of, and I got to the first mission and I got confused and I never finished the game. But yeah, I was surprised to see that series reappearing because I know it's kind of a niche kind of Mario and Luigi.
It is
series.
It takes a departure from the side-scrolling games that we're used to, and it's also different than it's its own thing. It's definitely its own thing, and my entry point into that series was, for the most part, also Bowser's Inside Story. I never got to play Superstar Saga. I had it for a little bit. I played it for a little bit, but there were other games that were calling my attention. My backlog is horrendous. Mm-hmm. How's yours looking?
Pretty bad as well. That's adult life for you, folks.
For sure. So if there are any teenagers or kids listening, savor the time you have.
Yeah, play your games.
Play your games. Yeah. Don't do homework. Play your games.
Yeah.
So it looks. I feel like I'm. I'm gonna put the phone down for a second. I was researching something, but yes, this is the newest title in the Mario and Luigi series, and it looks amazing. Mm-hmm. Personally, I think. Did you watch the Direct?
I did watch it. Yes.
Okay, cool. It looks amazing. I'm just so excited. I'm so excited that this is the first Mario and Luigi game that's going to be coming to Switch, and people are losing their minds. And honestly, that's really all I have to say about it.
So I know it's called Brothership.
Yes.
I'm assuming it's a sequel to the other Mario and Luigi games.
It might be its own standalone thing. Well, I sequel, sure, but I also think it's kind of its own.
Because you know they were. I mean, I know for the Mario Luigi games, as far as I'm aware, you can play all of them alone. Like you can any of the games could be your entry point to the series.
Yeah, correct.
But I think there are slight connections between them. It's kind of like the Legend of Zelda games, I think, in that regard. But yeah, they look interesting. The title Brothership is definitely part of Nintendo's like quirky fun.
Yeah.
Because when you would think it'd be called like Brotherhood, and they're like, no, we have to make it our own.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's Mario and Luigi Brothership.
The title threw me off a little bit, but at the same time, I was like, this is very on brand for them.
Yes.
So yeah.
And the art style is pretty good. It's different from the DS games, but it's still close enough to keep that feel. Yeah,
they still have that cel-shaded art style, which I really like, which really defines that series.
Mm-hmm.
Every Mario entry, or Mario. Ah, crap.
Mario and Luigi.
I'm just thinking about this from like the work perspective.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes, every Mario entry has its own distinct style, from the Paper Mario games, which of course are the paper aesthetic, to the 3D Mario games, which have their own type of identity, and then the Mario and Luigi are much more cartoonish, what you might see on like a Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah, I would say so.
And the trailer, it looks really cool. I feel like they combine like the 3D elements while sticking with the cel-shaded graphics, but also they took. I watched a Nintendo Live video, and they mentioned that it looks like they have some of like the Mario Strikers poses and stuff in there too, in terms of the animation from the cutscenes.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's a very underrated game. That
very
Mario
underrated.
Strikers.
I never ended up playing it. I was excited for the sequel that they had for Switch, but I never picked that up either because I hadn't heard really good things about it. So that was a pretty big determining factor, but. Maybe I should. But anyway, Mario and Luigi Partners in Time, I believe that comes out this year. I could totally be wrong, but I don't think I am.
I think it would make sense, because I don't think there's any other Mario game. Well, no, I think... yep, it's coming out this year, November 7th. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, that sounds like a good time for a Mario game to come out.
Yes,
right before Christmas.
For sure. So, I'm already looking up the next game that I wanted to talk about that was announced in this Direct. Actually, no, I'm lying, because I feel like I don't remember what order, but anyway, I'm going to talk about it. The next game that was announced is there's a new Zelda game coming out.
Yes.
And I am very excited. I mentioned on the show that I am a Zelda fan, and this new Zelda game has you in the shoes of Princess Zelda, believe it or not. So you're not playing Link, I was going to say the titular character, but the titular character is Zelda.
It's like most fans who don't play the game, it's like, oh, that's Zelda.
Yeah,
of course.
That's the running joke. But nope, you are going to be playing as Princess Zelda. Link is either fallen into some realm or something like that, and you have to rescue him. And instead of a sword, you have what's called a magical tri-rod, and you can create copies, or what they're calling quote-unquote echoes in the game, and use that as you can create echoes of monsters, echoes of rocks, and it looks like it's going to be a little bit more puzzle-solvy in terms of the gameplay, and less combat heavy because you don't have a sword.
And the title, if you guys are wondering, it's Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, correct?
Yes, Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom.
You're right. Okay.
Yep.
So the echoes makes sense.
Yes.
Okay.
And this game is going to be coming out in September 26th of this year.
Okay.
So it's pretty soon.
And I know the gameplay, it's very similar to the remake of Link's Awakening, right?
Yes, it's exactly that style.
Okay.
It's exactly that style, and I'm very excited. That is not a game that I've played. That's a game that's on my list. If I'm gonna be completely honest, my plan was to finish Breath of the Wild, move on to Tears of the Kingdom, and then go on to Link's Awakening, and then I'm gonna have to play.
Echoes of Wisdom.
Echoes of Wisdom. Wisdom of Echoes. No, I'm mixing the titles.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm gonna play Tears of the Kingdom. I've heard that it's not Breath of the Wild DLC, but people have said that they like Breath of the Wild better.
Okay.
But anyway.
Well, so the Echoes of Wisdom is it's brand new.
Yes.
It's a brand new game.
It's
not like a remake of the sequel of Awakening.
It's not a sequel. It's not a special edition of anything. We are getting a brand new Legend of Zelda title in 2024.
Well, is it a sequel to Link's Awakening, or is it just using that same style? Graphic style and gameplay?
I want to say that it's just using the same art style.
Okay.
I don't believe that it is a sequel. I think it is its own standalone. I believe it's its own standalone game. I don't know where it fits within the Zelda continuity.
Yeah.
But I don't think that it's a direct sequel.
Okay.
I could be wrong. Someone fact check me on this, even though I should be fact-checking myself. But
well, it's a game that just came out.
That is true.
And this isn't the first time fans have played as Zelda in the games, right?
No, it is not. Zelda's been playable in Super Smash Brothers, and that's the main franchise that I can think of. And then there is another game that Zelda is playable. Oh, in the Hyrule Warriors games, she's playable. And there is another specific Zelda game, or the game that Nintendo put out that you can play as Zelda, but I don't think many fans either know about that or they might, and it's just kind of forgotten because the game may have not been very good.
When I first saw the trailer for Echoes of Wisdom, the first thing that came to mind in terms of gameplay and story is this game going to feature Zelda's alter ego, Sheik? Yes.
Ooh,
that'd be interesting.
That's a good question. I don't know. We're gonna have to wait and see. We're gonna have to wait until September to play, and then we can answer that question.
All right.
So the next game that was announced, at least the one that caught my eye the most, was Marvel vs. Capcom. They're putting out a collection with all the Marvel vs. Capcom games, at least from that arcade style. They are also putting in one of the Punisher games in there. And it's Marvel vs. Capcom, Marvel vs. Capcom 2. It's going to be a whole collection. They are putting it on. It's coming to Switch and PlayStation 5, and I believe it's not coming to Xbox.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I'm not sure why they made that decision. It might come to Xbox later, but for now, I do know that it's coming to PlayStation and Nintendo Switch, and I am very excited. They are doing a physical release, and I'm someone who loves physical release. I love physical media. I try to buy physical releases whenever I can. If not, then that's the situation. But Marvel vs. Capcom 2, specifically for the PlayStation 2, is not a game that I've played. I've played it in the arcade, because that's where it's from.
Yeah.
And then they adapted it for consoles, and it was very popular back in the day. I'm gonna be honest. I think part of me missed some of that hype because I was doing other things, but to be able to wow. To have this collection in one place it's mind-blowing to me.
Yeah.
This is very reminiscent of that Street Fighter collection that they produced and put out a few years ago. And same with, there was another collection of fighting games that they put out on Switch as well. Do you remember the name of that?
I'm trying to think. I know it's not Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not Mortal Kombat.
I don't know. Maybe Soul Calibur?
No, it wasn't Soul Calibur. But I think there was another collection of. I think it was maybe just another Street Fighter collection that they put out as well. I could be
Misremembering,
yeah,
yes.
Thank you.
But yeah, it is interesting to see them coming out with this game, especially I feel like this is a sort of apology to the most recent Marvel vs. Capcom game.
Oh, you're talking about the Infinite or
the one that was clearly made just for the movies, you know what I mean, where it didn't have any of the X-Men in it.
No, what are you talking about?
There was a Marvel vs. Capcom, and it had Ultron merge with some other.
Oh, Sigma?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Oh, for Sigma from the Mega Man X series.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about, I believe that's Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite.
Okay. Yeah, because I know a lot of fans were disappointed by that.
Oh my god. Yes, I remember when this was announced, I didn't pick this game up. I liked the fight. I liked the style from Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Marvel vs. Capcom 3 brought it into 3D and got rid of like the pixelated style. And I thought that was cool. I thought it was fine. It's so funny to think that all these games that I'm talking about, I actually haven't played. I've either watched people play them or just, seen on display and whatnot, or played demos of. But I just know that the Marvel vs. Capcom 3 style was pretty cool, but then once they went to this, it was like a weird, almost like they tried to make it look lifelike.
Yeah, that's it's like CGI.
Yeah,
and like
motion capture.
Yeah,
type
motion
stuff.
capture. Yeah,
yeah, it was really weird, and from what I've seen on the internet, I know that that's not the opinion of everyone, but from what I've seen on the internet, people really didn't like this game. The art style wasn't very good, and I don't know if the play style was good.
I mean, I know it at least in the competitive scene, it was barely used at all.
Really? Okay. Yeah. That tells you everything you need to know if it's not even if it's not even a ranking in the competitive scene at all. So
I know a lot of people were upset by the roster too, although I think that was partially Marvel's fault because of their dealings with Fox and the restrictions on the X-Men characters and everything. Because I think it had one of the smallest rosters for a Marvel vs. Capcom game, excluding DLC characters. But even then, I don't think they added too many DLC characters. Because I know that game had a very short life cycle.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm excited because I haven't played a lot of those games besides playing them in the arcades. I've played some of them at cons because I know some people still bring the original games and sometimes even the original arcade machines to conventions to do little tournaments and everything. Yes. And that's always fun to do. And maybe this will rejuvenate the competitive scene for these games and definitely introduce new fans to these style of games.
That's exactly what it's going to do. That's really perfectly put. Having this on the Switch makes these games so much more accessible to tons of new players. It's going to create a whole new fan base and rejuvenate the series. At least that's what I hope. I've been a very big fan of Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I love the idea of being able to play Spider-Man, Venom, fighting Mega Man, and Ryu. That's really cool to me, and it's going to be packed with so many things, like like the original soundtracks. They're keeping the same graphics. It's the three. I believe it's a 3v3, right?
For
Marvel vs. Capcom.
I think for maybe the third one. I don't know about the previous two.
Okay, maybe it was just one-on-one. But regardless, very, very excited to be able to play these on a Switch, to think that I can, go from my TV to playing these portably. Really cool.
What would you say, across the original trilogy at least, is your main Capcom and your main Marvel character you play as?
Ooh, that's a good question. So, actually, I already know.
Okay.
I would play for my Capcom character, I would play as Mega Man.
Okay.
Yeah, I love Mega Man. Excuse me, love Mega Man for sure. Any sort of game where I could honestly play as Mega Man, like they did the oh my goodness, what was Cross? Do you remember those games for the 3DS? It was like the Cross something games where it was a tactical kind of a not Marvel versus Capcom, but Marvel x Capcom. Where do you remember the? Oh my goodness, it was called Cross something.
I don't remember.
Okay, fair enough. But for my Capcom character, I would choose Mega Man. or Ryu, because that's another classic. And isn't Leon in those games from
Resident Evil?
Yeah.
I think he's in at least one of them.
Yeah, he definitely is in at least
I know Chris Redfield's in one of them too, I think.
Then for my Marvel character, Spider-Man all day.
Oh, yeah.
Spider-Man, are you kidding me? Spider-Man or Wolverine.
Okay.
Those were, that's definitely what drew me in as a kid going to the arcade. I remember seeing that and being like, so confused but so hyped up. I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah.
So, next they need to bring the classic X-Men arcade game to Switch. That'd be sick.
Well, and I don't know if they're on the digital store. I know they are, at least for Xbox, on the arcade.
Oh, really?
At least for the 360, you can get it.
Okay.
But I'm not sure. I would imagine it still is, or it should be at least.
Do you know if it's on PlayStation?
Probably, maybe through the
PS Store.
Yeah, through the PS Store, the virtual console kind of thing.
I'm actually gonna check that out later.
For my characters,
who'd
for
you choose?
Marvel or Capcom. For Capcom, I think he was only brought in for the third game, and in later games he was introduced. Frank West from Dead Rising.
Oh, wow.
The main protagonist of Dead Rising.
Cool.
Mostly just because I just love that series, and it's so great to see Frank appear whenever he can, especially now that the franchise is dead.
R.I.P.
And for Marvel, I'm gonna go with Ghost Rider.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Huh. That's not obscure, but that's not what I would have expected. Any reason why?
Just because he's cool.
Yeah,
because you can't go wrong with the flaming skull.
That's true.
Like, if they were to make a newer Marvel versus Capcom game with newer characters, I feel like a perfect addition to it would be the Cosmic Ghost Rider, because he's just awesome, and just seeing his powers be in that kind of like comic booky arcade style, I think it'd be cool. But yeah.
Did you like the movies?
The originals with Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
I thought the first one was fine.
Yeah.
The second one, it's so boring.
Really?
Nothing really happens in it.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. I like Nick Cage as an actor. People think he's hokey and whatnot. I mean, I agree. He's a little out there, but I love Nick Cage.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, he is.
But for what's the last game we wanted to talk about?
So, the last game that I want to talk about is something that has been 7 years in the making. We have been waiting for this. We got a little bit of content a couple of years ago with a game that came out, and it satisfied some of the hunger, but it wasn't enough. We've been waiting. We were like, Nintendo, when are you gonna deliver? What's going on? Is this gonna come out for the Switch 2? Is it ever coming out? Because they've switched developers multiple times, and I believe it's Rare Studios that's working on this game now. Correct?
I'm not sure.
Okay, well, I can look that up. I believe it's Rare.
But the game we're talking about
is Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. Yes, it is real. It is here. Not yet. 2025.
Sometime that year.
Sometime in 2025. And I almost cried. I actually have to be honest. I almost cried. There was almost a tear that came out of my face. It looks amazing.
Yes.
So I'm gonna be honest, and part of me predicted that it was gonna be coming, because I was on Facebook the other day, a day or two before the Direct, and there was an article that Nintendo Life, there's a site that I follow that I really enjoy. Either it was Nintendo Life or someone posted something about Metroid, saying that, I believe it was the director. Someone said, hey, Samus always has to lose her powers in the beginning. That is a thing that always has to happen. And I'm thinking to myself...
It's get Metroided, right? That's a verb for video games pretty much these days. Is like when...
Could it?
I think it is a term where video game characters lose all their abilities from the previous games.
They got Metroided. Maybe. Well, if not, then you heard it here. But... Yeah. But... What came to my mind was, well, what... We know this... This isn't new information, so I'm confused as to why they're saying this has to happen. Why are they all of a sudden talking about Metroid? unless there could be some sort of an announcement. So that's what stuck in the back of my mind before the Direct, and I didn't really think too much of it, and then we saw the writing with the Galactic Federation.
Yeah.
We saw the ship
And the music.
And who did we see pop out of the ship? But Samus Aran herself in her bounty suit armor, her power suit, and it looks. I think it looks gorgeous. I've been online and I've seen some of the discourse, and I feel like people. I'm going to be honest. I feel like people complain way too much about graphics. I mean, I know that we want a really good product. Obviously, if they're putting 7 years worth of work into this, but. It's in the gameplay footage. It wasn't final, at least I'm pretty sure they put that disclaimer on there. And personally, I think it looks beautiful. I'm so excited. I forget the name of who the villain is that was shown, but the villain who's shown, he's with the space pirates
and Metroids
and the Metroids. He took the words from my mouth. But yes, they're with the space pirates who if you played the Metroid games, they're basically a nuisance for Samus. Samus is a bounty hunter that goes throughout the galaxy from the Galactic Federation, fighting the space pirates, and all sorts of crazy hijinks ensue. I'm making it sound so much more lighthearted than it really is, because it's actually a pretty. It's a pretty lonely series, if I'm being honest, because you're on a planet by yourself, basically playing Exterminator.
basically.
But like Eric said, yes, the main villain and the space pirates were accompanied by the Metroids, and the Metroids in the Metroid series.
Yes, titular Metroids.
The titular Metroids are this parasitic alien life form that they go and they it's funny, I love Metroid, and I don't even remember what the Metroids do. They suck blood and this stuff, and they transform into these really terrifying, really gross creatures, if I'm being honest. They're disgusting.
I would say they're like a more adorable version of facehuggers from Alien.
Yes, that's actually a really good comparison. Actually, I have a tattoo of a Metroid.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, you guys can't see it, but he does have a tattoo of a Metroid on his arm.
And what's crazy, though, is that I believe up to that point in the story of Metroid Prime 4, or Metroid, up until that point in the story, all the Metroids were gone.
I believe that's true.
Yeah. So like, where did they come from?
I don't know.
What's going on? Because I said that we got some content. We got a game a couple years ago, and that game was called Metroid Dread. And that game was many years in development. It was supposed to come out, I believe, for the not the DS, but I want to say the 3DS.
Yeah. Well, there was a previous game that released on the 3DS, right?
Yes, Metroid Prime, or no, not Metroid.
It was
Samus Returns.
Yes.
Yeah, they remade Samus Returns, and that was done on the 3DS. But the life cycle for Metroid Dread, it had been in development for many years. Here's what had happened. It was a Metroid Zero Mission, or no, not Zero Mission, Metroid Fusion for the Game Boy Advance came out, and then Metroid Dread was supposed to be it is a direct sequel of that game, and I believe it was supposed to get released for the Game Boy, or maybe for the DS or the 3DS, one of those systems, but it was almost canceled, I believe. And somehow it, we saw it's seen the light of day. It's out. It sold really well. It sold actually surprisingly well for a Metroid game. Out of all of Nintendo's franchises, Metroid usually is the one that kind of underperforms. It performs well, but for Nintendo standards, it kind of underperforms. It goes Mario. I'm probably wrong in this, but I'm going to say it goes Mario, Pokemon, The Legend of Zelda, and then Metroid.
Okay, interesting. I don't know if I would put Metroid as number 4.
What would you put?
Maybe Kirby as number 4. Maybe.
Oh, I don't even know if Kirby's on the radio.
Oh, really?
I don't know.
But
I mean, that is another really big Nintendo franchise. I love the Kirby series.
Yeah.
But I and so many other people are so excited that we finally have some Metroid Prime 4. beyond news, and I could definitely see this being a launch title for the Switch 2 or the Switch successor.
Yeah.
If not, then it's definitely going to be putting the current Switch to the test.
I could see it being working similar to how Breath of the Wild was, where it came out at the end of the Wii U's life cycle, but was also a somewhat launch title alongside Mario Odyssey for the Switch.
People are also saying that too. That could definitely be the situation. I'm not sure, but I'm here for it. I'm definitely here for it. So we're gonna have to wait and see what Nintendo plans.
I'm hoping, because last year, right, they remastered the first Metroid Prime.
So yes, they remastered the first Metroid Prime, and they completely remastered it, put it out for Switch. It plays fantastic. It looks beautiful, and this is going to be my first time playing Metroid Prime. I played Metroid Prime 2, Metroid Prime Echoes, and I got through part of that game. I know exactly why I didn't finish it. I'll go on record and say I was terrified. That game's scary. Because think about it. Like I said, you're basically playing Exterminator. You're a space exterminator. You're a bounty hunter. So the plot of, quick side note or side tangent, the plot of Metroid Prime 2 Echoes is you get called to this planet, and you have to fight these beings called the Ing, and the whole part of the whole gimmick, not gimmick, but the whole gimmick of the game is there's a light side of the game, and then there's a dark side of the game where the Ing are from, and you can go back and forth between the two. If you go early in the game, if you go into the dark part, it's poisonous. So you have to find. So the classic formula for Metroid is you lose all your powers. You have to find all these power-ups throughout the world, and you find various suits. You find your classic power suit, the various suit. Mm-hmm. And then in the game you can get at the end, the big one is the gravity suit, and that one can obviously resist gravity, resist poison, resist fire and heat and ice and all that stuff. So once you get at least the power suit, you can withstand some poison and some heat, so you can travel between the worlds. But I got pretty far in the game, but it was just so scary because you could be doing something, checking something out, and then there's something behind you and you don't see it, and it's a big thing with a giant eyeball, and it's really scary at 13.
And didn't they also introduce Dark Samus in the game?
Dark Samus was introduced in Metroid Prime, I believe. I want to say so. Yes, there was something that happened in Metroid Prime, and no, wait, I'm getting things mixed up, but I want to say. Oh, I know what's happening. I'm getting Metroid Prime, the Metroid Prime series mixed up with Metroid Fusion.
Okay.
Because in Metroid Fusion, Samus gets sick or whatever, and they have to she loses her armor, but then there's a copy of her that roams around, and that game is actually kind of scary too, because you lose your powers, and this thing is a copy of you, and it's soulless, and I remember watching an ad for that when I was a kid, and I was like, oh, that's a Metroid Prime thing. No, it was
Are you thinking of Other M?
No. I've never played Other M, and people don't like that game because they're Samus. They made Samus whiny and all sorts of whatever, but I never played that game. No, Metroid Fusion.
Okay.
But anyway, back to Metroid Prime 2. Game was scary. Dark Samus is in that game. Metroid Prime. I never played Metroid Prime 3 Corruption, but I believe you take care of Dark Samus and that whole thing. But then Metroid Prime 4 is. I want to say I think the tagline is it's the start of a new adventure, because Metroid Dread finishes that whole story of the Metroids. Mm-hmm. The creator of Metroid, the creator of the series has gone on record to say that chapter of dealing with the Metroids and all that is done. With Metroid Dread, it's done. I'm actually at the Speaking of actually not finishing games, I'm actually at the final boss.
Okay.
So of Metroid Dread. So it's really difficult, but I've memorized the attack pattern, so I'm gonna go back and give it another shot because I do want to finish that game. But I believe that Metroid, the Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is going to be like a new story.
Okay.
So I am so excited. I'm so excited.
I'm pretty excited too because even though I haven't played any of the Metroid Prime games, I've always been intrigued by them.
Yeah.
Because just on a tone and atmospheric level, it's like a game that's totally different from any of the other mainline Nintendo games.
Yeah. Yeah. You could really say it's kind of like a horror game in its own way.
A sci-fi. I mean, I know Metroid, the whole franchise was inspired by Alien,
yes.
the movie series Alien. So it is basically a sci-fi horror series. Yeah. Nowhere nearly as graphic or horrifying as Alien can be.
But there definitely are those elements in it for sure. So, and looking this up, it's developed by Retro Studios.
Okay.
That's who.
I think they developed the other games, right? The other Prime games for the GameCube and the Wii, right? Pretty sure.
They may have.
Because I know they also worked on the Donkey Kong Country games.
Yes, they have.
The recent ones, at least. But yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm also hoping to, and I've heard rumors that they were developing this as well. I hope they remaster Metroid Prime 2 and 3.
Oh, you were
or
mentioning
a collection
that.
as well.
Yeah, you were mentioning that. I also hope for that too. Part of me was thinking that could have been the announcement, but I'm so glad that we got what we got instead. I definitely can wait. I can wait to play the other games later. And to go back to what you were saying, yes, Retro did also produce the.
So it's in good hands.
It's in very, very good hands. So, that was in the Nintendo Direct of June 2024. There were other announcements that popped up, but if I'm being honest, those didn't quite grab me. What grabbed you from the Direct?
Well, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond was definitely the one that caught my interest, just because of how long it's been in development.
Yeah.
I know fans have been waiting forever. It's kind of become a Half-Life 3 kind of joke.
Oh my god!
Not coming out
at
all.
That's been the joke. Yeah, because 7 years ago, all we got was a title.
Right.
All we got was just a title screen, so we knew it was in development. And from what we had heard, that they'd switched developers partway through development. So people were thinking that's not good.
Yeah.
We're really worried about that. But then when we found out it was Retro, we're like, okay, we're good. As you were saying.
But yeah, besides Metroid Prime 4, there weren't any other games that interested me too much. They released another trailer for Lego Horizon Adventures, although from what I can tell in that trailer, it wasn't anything new. It seemed like it was just re-spliced content from the other announcement trailer.
Yeah, the Summer Games Fest.
Right. And I don't think they revealed any other new information. Although I did watch an interview from someone who got to play the demo of the game, and they talked about how you can build pretty much your own like little settlement in Mother's Heart in the game. That's kind of like the hub world in this game. And they also talked about how there's a lot more customization in the game because you can dress up Aloy and Varl, who's the co-op character in this game, in costumes that aren't even from Horizon. Like they talked about how in the demo they had costumes from the Ninjago series, and I thought that was pretty interesting. I thought also too they might have maybe console exclusive costumes. I can imagine them having like a Mario and Luigi costume.
I could definitely see that.
And maybe like a Kratos and Atreus kind of costume for PlayStation people.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of interesting. The other game that I thought was pretty interesting was Mario Party Jamboree.
Oh, right.
Yeah, because I think they said it's the biggest Mario Party game, at least in terms of roster to date. And just the title of a jamboree was interesting because like when I think of a jamboree, I think of like fishing and like barbecues and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think they're having that though in this game.
They could, but I've always loved the Mario Party series. I never picked up the last one. I know that people were somewhat disappointed because of the lack of content in the last game, but this game, it looks pretty fun. From what they showed, the mini games look fun, and it just it looks to be a good party time all around. What the hell was that?
Well, I mean, it is a Mario Party.
It is a Mario Party.
Yeah.
Something that I just remembered that I saw in the Direct was they're releasing Stray.
Oh yeah, the cat game.
Yeah, the cat
for
game.
Nintendo Switch.
Yep. Did you ever play that?
I played a little bit at a friend's house. I know it came out exclusively for PlayStation, right? Originally, yeah.
Yes.
It's pretty. I'm kind of surprised the Switch is able to power that game.
It doesn't look good.
Okay.
It doesn't look good.
Okay.
But that's just me. That's what I had seen. But we'll have to see when it comes.
Is it going to be a physical release or is it cloud exclusive?
I don't think it's cloud exclusive.
Okay.
But I'm not sure if I think they might do a physical release because it's been out for a while.
Yeah.
But that is on my list of games that I want to play, but for a completely different system.
Yeah, probably for PlayStation.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, that's definitely interesting. I know a lot of Nintendo Switch players are definitely more of the casual gamers, and I'm sure. I know a lot of my friends who are girls who love cats will definitely be picking up Stray for Nintendo Switch. And Stray, for people who don't know, you're playing as a cat in a semi-futuristic city, pretty much. Yeah, as a stray cat.
Yeah. There are no people, but there are robots.
Right, yeah. And you can interact with other cats, and I believe they even used motion capture of a real-life cat for the game.
Yes, they did. I don't believe that there's any combat, but it's more of like a stealth kind of a game where you have to sneak around and either meet sort of different objectives and whatnot. Like I said, there isn't much combat, but there is something that you can use if you get spotted in an area where you're not supposed to be, where you can defend yourself. But it's not like a actual fighting game or anything like that. It's I don't want to say it's cozy because of the setting. It's a little dystopian, but it's a chill game. Let's say that.
Yeah. It's like a game that you can play while listening to your favorite podcast.
Yeah, while you're listening, press start.
Yeah. But yeah, besides those announcements, nothing really intrigued me. I was kind of surprised at least I don't remember there being any Pokemon announcements in this Direct.
None.
And that was pretty surprising, especially with the semi-recent reveal of Pokemon Legends.
Pokemon Legends ZA.
Yeah, what's the region? Kalos.
Yes.
The Gen 6 game.
Well, Pokemon, I feel they get their own directs because it's already been its own behemoth that Pokemon gets its own straight up, dedicated directs. And oh boy, I am so excited for that game. Legends Arceus, however you want to say it, was one of my favorite games that came out last year. A couple years ago now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was that changed the game for me because in that game, if you don't know, it is a open world and it takes the concept of Sword and Shield from those games that came out on Switch. There was a wild area where you can roam around and catch Pokemon. And it takes that and puts it into a full game where they focus mainly on catching. There is battle. There is a battle mechanic that you can do. You can do a fast attack, a light attack, which isn't something Pokemon is known for. You just have one basic or 4 basic attacks, whatever you can choose from. And it's a turn-based battle system. I like how I'm explaining Pokemon as if millions of people don't play the game.
But you'd be surprised. I mean, a lot of kids, working at an elementary school for many years now, I subbed there part-time. There's a lot of kids, they have binders full of the cards, but they've never actually played any video games of Pokemon, which I think is pretty weird.
That's definitely interesting for sure. But the Legends Arceus, you get thrown back in time in the my goodness,
it's Sinnoh region.
Yeah,
yep.
I was like, but no.
Not yet.
Yeah, the Sinnoh region. And like I said, it's open world, so you can go roam around, you catch Pokemon, and they just changed the whole mechanic. There aren't any gyms in the game. There are different challenges that you can do which serve as the quote-unquote gym. And it's all around, I thought it was a phenomenal game. I think it breaks up the whole monotony and the cycle of Pokemon, which they've been trying to do different things in the franchise, but I definitely think it shook things up a lot and breaks from the standard formula. So I'm very excited to see what they do with Legends ZA. And I'm also, honestly, I'm just happy that we're getting another game within that style because I feel like they definitely took a chance. During that year, they released Legends Arceus, and then they also released Scarlet and Violet. And Scarlet and Violet both of them are main title entries, and Scarlet and Violet play much closer to the classic formula. But then with Scarlet and Violet, you also get the open area. You can roam around. They said it's a full open world Pokemon game for the first time, but this time you don't have to stick to the gyms. You can do whatever gym in whatever order, where normally it's very linear.
Yeah.
This time it's choose your own adventure. But even with that, there's two other paths that you can go down. You can go and take down the I'm doing air quotes here, quote unquote, evil organization within the game, which I don't think that they're that evil.
I think most of the teams in recent games, ever since I would say X and Y,
yeah,
they haven't been evil at all. They've just been annoying at best.
Kind of goofy, weird characters that have weird motivations.
Like Team Skull and what was the one in X or Sword and Shield? It was Team. It was like something Scream, Yell, Team Yell.
Team Yell,
which is just like, really?
It was weird, but it was more, anyway. So with Scarlet and Violet, like I said, you can do there's a gym challenge, you can do it's called, like Star Street or something like that for the criminal organization, and then there's another one where you can do this beast challenge where you take on giant versions of Pokemon.
I remember that,
And I believe that actually plays a deeper tie into the main story. I think that they all might connect, but I think the big Pokemon thing ties into the main story with that. But those two games released not together, but they released within the same year. So we were getting there's been a few years where we get multiple Pokemon games. But what people were saying is that Legends Arceus was kind of a test. They were testing that to see how it would do, to see if, hey, should we make more of these games? Are people actually interested in this, or do they just want the regular Pokemon that we know and love? And there actually are, I believe, two separate teams that work on the games, where there's a mainline team and then kind of like Square Enix, where like there's literally like I think that's actually what it's called, like Team A and Team B or whatever, or Unit C17- whatever.
Yeah.
But you have one team working on the Arceus games and like some of the other side games, and then you have the people working on the main games. But like I said, I'm just very happy that we're getting another Legends game, because that blew me out of the water. And I know a lot of people dogged it for the graphics, which again, like it's on the Switch, it's a Pokemon game. I understand we're in 2024 and people have certain expectations, but personally, to me, I'm okay if a game isn't, at the highest graphic fidelity.
Yeah.
That's just for me. But what about you?
Well, I mean, going for like the Pokemon games, I'm still waiting for them to announce a remake of Black and White.
Oh yeah, that's next, because they just did Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl.
Yeah, which I know people were disappointed by, including myself. I was pretty disappointed by it.
What did you like about it?
What I didn't like about it was it didn't have any elements from Platinum.
Oh yeah, people were pretty pissed about that.
Because Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire both had elements from Emerald in it, and I get like the reasoning of like having the originals be pristine, and I like that approach, but I just would have liked to have more elements from Platinum introduced in it. But I'm hoping, having the next Legends game be set in Kalos instead of Unova, which they like skipped over Unova. It was pretty interesting.
It gives you hope for a remake.
I hope they do a actual dedicated remake for Black and White. Maybe if they want, they can merge Black and White and Black and White 2 into like one massive game.
That'd be cool.
Maybe for the Switch 2, that would be a really amazing launch title.
You know what I would love to see? Something like how they did with Pokemon Gold and Silver.
Yes.
But with Black and White and Black and White 2, where you can visit. Well, no, because Black and White 2, it's the same region.
It's the same region, but for Black and White, like Black and White 1, you start at like the lower left-hand corner of Unova, and you get to the other corner at the end. But then Black 2, you start on the other end, and you go back.
Okay.
So I could see them, if they do merge the games, it could be like you play as your original character, you beat the game, then it's like 20 years later or whatever the time difference is between Black and White 1 and 2. And then you can go back and do the whole region again. I think that would be a perfect way to remake both of the games.
Yeah. That'd be pretty interesting. For sure.
Instead of just doing like a black or a gray, as everyone wanted.
I miss when they did. I miss that they don't do third games anymore.
No,
I miss that.
I miss that too. Like we never got gray, we never got Z.
Nope.
We never got Eclipse.
Well, we kind of are getting Z because Z.
But you're right.
And it's focusing on it's like zero grade or zero something.
Zygarde, I think. Yeah.
It's the green snake.
Yes. But yeah, I mean, it was over 10 years later, but eventually we got it, I guess. Because did they announce a release date for Legends Z?
I don't believe so. I believe it's 2025 as well.
Okay. All right.
So look at that. We got Metroid Prime 4 Beyond for next year. We got Pokemon Legends ZA for next year. This also reminds me, Donkey Kong Country returns for 2025 as well.
Yes.
I love Donkey Kong Country. I remember playing it back in the day on the SNES, and those games were hard. And I played it for the Super Nintendo, and then I also had it for the Game Boy Color as well. The Game Boy Color version, I think, was like so much harder, but that's could be me remembering weird.
I think I did play that version too, because that was made by Rare originally, right?
Yes.
Because I know after the one on the Game Boy came out, they came out with Diddy Kong Racing, and I remember playing that, and it was like everyone had Mario Kart for the DS, but then there was like one weird kid who had Diddy Kong Racing.
You were the one. That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. Yes, so they're remaking Donkey Kong Country Returns, and they're putting that on Switch, and yeah, it's getting a 2025 release date. But either way, I'm excited. I haven't played the one that's Tropical Freeze. I haven't played that, but I do have Nintendo Switch Online, which lets you go and play the old Super Nintendo games, and Donkey Kong Country is on that, as well as I think 2 and 3 too.
Speaking of playing old games on the Switch, they also did announce how you can play I believe it is Perfect Dark for the N64 multiplayer on the Switch, along with GoldenEye, I think was the other. Or no, it was Turok, the other one.
Turok. Yes, GoldenEye was announced a while ago. Yeah. Yes. Oh my God, Perfect Dark. I haven't played that. It's been, I'm going to say, it's been 24 years since I've played that game.
I haven't played Turok probably in the same time frame, because Turok was one of the first games where it was like, what in the world is this? Because it's like dinosaurs and cavemen, but there's also guns. It's like, what?
Oh, definitely. Well, when did that come out? Did that come out in the 90s or the 2000s? Because that's...
I think the first one came out in the 90s, because it was on the 64.
That feels very 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Everything had guns. But Perfect Dark, my goodness. Yeah, I remember being 7 or 8 playing that game.
And it's perfect timing, because they did just announce a release window for a new Perfect Dark on Xbox.
Oh, right. That's right. So yeah, hey, all these games are making a comeback. You know, everything is secular.
Our nostalgia is being sold back to us.
Yeah, exactly. And we are buying it. We are eating it up.
Yes.
So that's honestly, that's all that I have about the Nintendo Direct. Anything that you else... Wow, what was that? Anything else you want to add, Eric?
Nothing really, other than I hope for all these continued series, I hope new gamers try them out. especially if they're a little bit standoffish against them. I mean, anyone who's interested in anything sci-fi, even though I never played the Metroid Prime games, I can still guarantee anyone who's interested in sci-fi movies or games or books even, they'll have a fun time with Metroid Prime.
Keep an open mind.
Yeah, keep an open mind. Give these games a chance. And keep them on your Christmas list.
Yeah, bye.
So yeah, that's all we had to say. What was your favorite announcement from this spring's Nintendo Direct?
Outside of Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, like how we have to remember to add the Beyond. Personally, Marvel vs. Capcom, that whole bundle, I never thought that I'd get to play that outside of buying a PlayStation 2, buying a very overpriced video game, because those games, all the games that you can't play digitally right now that you have to get physically, have just gone up exponentially. The Pokemon games for the physical 2D games are ridiculously overpriced for I don't want to say for good reason, but like it makes sense. But I was hands down shocked when they announced that. I was so excited, and that truly was my favorite announcement. The Mario and Luigi game, of course, I'm very, very excited for that. I'm definitely excited for the Legend of Zelda game, but Marvel vs. Capcom for sure.
Yeah. All right, well, that's all the time we have for today. Comment down below what was your favorite game announcement from Nintendo Direct, and
it was Metroid Prime, wasn't it? It was that.
Yeah, I mean, even if it wasn't Metroid Prime, just give a little assistance to one other game. Be like, I love Metroid Prime, but I'm gonna say Mario Luigi, even though I really want Metroid Prime.
Yeah, we want all opinions about games for sure. Like us and check back next week for another episode of Press Start.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.